The TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School Series returns to action after a month-long layoff today at picturesque Road America. 3 classes of touring cars, TCX, TC, and TCA, featuring brands like Hyundai, Honda, Mini, Subaru, Mazda, and BMW are set to take on the challenge of Road America in round 9 of the 2022 season. Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish joins me in the broadcast booth, and Shea Adam is down on the pit lane. The cars are on the grid and set to roll for the first of 2 formation laps at this beautiful 14-turn, 4-mile road course known as Road America. You see the weather conditions up on the screen, relatively cool, overcast, but crucially dry, and that's better than the forecast we woke up to this morning.
Certainly is. We expected it to be a wet afternoon, but right now looks like it's certainly going to be dry here for this TC America race, and this racetrack is perfect for these cars. Expect plenty of side-by-side action all the way around this race circuit.
It was tight in qualifying, but it was an interrupted qualifying session. A heavy crash for Nicholas Barbato in one of the Gin Racer Hyundais from the TC class ended with that car upside down. In fact, here's a replay of what happened earlier today in qualifying. The good news is Nicholas climbed out of the car under his own power. He was all right, but it did mean that several drivers were unable to set representative lap times just because of when this red flag came out in a very short session.
Yeah, good to see Nick walk away from that one, because it was a big one. Turn 13 is high speed, big commitment. If it goes wrong, you can see the consequences there. And that's what this racetrack is all about, Ryan. We love it, but if you get it wrong, watch out.
And she bites, no question about that. One of the results was a surprise pole sitter. Michael Kanishak making his season debut in the Random Vandals entry. He's on the overall pole. We'll have to wait and see if he can keep it there, but this is a driver with a lot of BMW experience at the club level. He'll have one of the championship contenders, Colin Garrett, starting to his flank. Stephen Cugliari and points leader Jacob Rude in row 2, Brett Scroggin and Lucas Catania in row 3, Steve Strymer and Olivia Askew row 4, and at the back of the TCX field, Joseph Catania and Garrett Adams. Then we go back to the TC field, which is somewhat winnowed down from previous rounds. A couple teams not answering the bell here this weekend. Kevin Bohm, though, despite telling us, hey, not sure this car is the best in class here this weekend, well, it was in qualifying. He'll start it on pole. Jeff Rica alongside. Clay Williams, who's been on a strong run as of late, will start third, with Brazilian stock car veteran Celso Neto alongside. Then Ken Fukuda and Matt Ibrahim. Joey Jordan making his return in the Cork Sport Mazda. Chris Valdez at the back of the TC field. Then to TCA, where Christian Pericarpi, who became a race winner for the first time at the pro level at Watkins Glen, he'll start on class pole. Gresham Wagner next to him. Devin Anderson and PJ Gronke starting in row 2. Championship leader Carter Fartuk all the way back in 5th with Xiao Yiche. Great qualifying effort for the Chinese driver in 6th. Sally McNulty, new team with the Skip Barber squad here this weekend. We'll have Brandon Tyner alongside, and Colin Harrison and Tyler Delgado will make up the rest of the starting field. It's a lot of interesting stories throughout this field, and it's going to unfold quickly. Just 40 minutes to settle this.
Yeah, and I think we do have a lot of cars potentially out of position, so that should certainly make it very exciting. As the 78 car, unfortunately, has early drama here. That's Jeff Rica.
That is the team car to the Barbato car that had the crash this morning. This is the car also that was set to start from the outside of the front row in TC.
That's exiting turn 8 there, underneath the new bridge.
That is some serious misfortune.
We have to delay the start here if they're getting communication with the team and driver.
Report from Shea. Not sure that even the team is aware of the issue. The lights are still on the safety car. Now Jeff is back up and running once again.
Maybe did a Control-Alt-Delete in terms of getting the electronics reset.
A lot of eyes right now on the Mike Stillwagon-driven safety car, and we'll see if it stays on track or if it peels off. The field is in 2x2 alignment, and indeed they will stay for another formation lap, it would appear. Word from the pit lane is an electrical issue, the problem for Jeff Rica.
That'll be the first thing that a team would do, is say find a safe spot on the racetrack out of the way, and just see if that works just by turning everything off like you do on your computer at home. See if he's back up to speed here or whether he hits pit lane. That'll be the telltale sign.
So the race has officially started. The clock is rolling because they were due to take the green flag that time by. Janfrika back up to speed, but will not be able to make up his position.
He's staying out.
But this will be costly because it's a long lap to begin with. In one of these touring cars, we're talking about pole sitting times of nearly 3 minutes in some of the classes. I guess not pole sitting, but some of the times approaching 3 minutes in length. It's extra time, of course, spent under the safety car. So if you didn't have a great qualifying, this is now less time to work with to try and make your way forward.
It is. And hasn't been the smoothest of days for the Gen Racer team, obviously, with Barbado's big crash in qualifying. Now Jeff, after a solid qualifying position, got a ton of work to do.
That gives us a moment to chew on some of the details of this track. Road America, as mentioned, situated near the village of Elkhart Lake. It's on 640 acres of the Kettle Moraine Scenic Drive, which is a designated scenic route through southeastern Wisconsin, which links to vibrant state forests. It does look like Rika will be able to at least make his way back up to the TC portion of the field.
But he just has to go on the tail of his class, though. I don't think he's allowed to take his grip spot.
Yeah, I think you're right. But this area has such history with road racing. There were several years where races were held on the county roads, and in fact, through the town of Elkhart Lake itself. Cliff Tufty, local businessman, saw maybe the writing on the wall. That was an era where there was starting to be some outcry against these races on public roads, and identified this area as one that should continue to host major motorsports events, and found this site of land here, which was purchased for $75,000 and developed into basically what we see today. The basic track layout has not been altered since the place opened. Exactly, back in 1955.
Someone was telling me this weekend they put the track down for a cost of about $175,000. I don't think you'd resurface pit lane these days for that.
But there is a big resurfacing project coming. That will be in October. Something that everyone is very interested in learning about, what effects that might have with grip levels and tire degradation moving forward. This worn surface here does take a toll on any race tire that comes here, the Pirellis being no exception. And especially for this series, where they have one set of tires to take them through the entire weekend, that tire management is going to be a major, major storyline. Looks like we are set to go. The safety car pulls off into the pit lane, and it will be a traditional 2x2 start as the field comes up the hill with debutant Michael Kanishak starting on pole for Random Vandals Racing. He approaches the VP acceleration zone, and away he goes. That brightly colored green and white BMW sprinting away. He's got Garrett on his outside. Colin Garrett, one of the championship contenders. He's able to draw even in the drag race down to turn one.
Cugliari there with the red, white, and blue hood there, looks to the inside. Here's the TC start.
A couple gaps in that field because of cars missing for various reasons. The pole sitter, though, is Kevin Boehm. He takes the green flag with Clay Williams giving chase in the Mini.
Look in the backdrop, though. TCA spreading out really quickly there as they cross the stripe.
Oh, yeah. Instantly 3 wide, and a pair of Minis leading the charge. There is Christian Pericarpi in the yellow Mini and the Canadian PJ Gronke in the red, and Gresham Wagner slots in between the two.
Oh, look at this TC battle down in this TCX. Oh, Jacob Rude deep on the brakes. Can he get it woe down?
How about that?
Oh, there's a touch.
5th on the grid to the lead, and Kanishak goes around. Looks like he's able to avoid any major contact, though, and hopefully will be able to continue on, but there is problems here for the 57. Stephen Cugliari with suspension damage on the right front.
Yeah, and I think Kanishak, unfortunately, may have left front damage as well. The camber in that car didn't look right to me.
Side by side as the race continues, Catania working his way to the inside there in that white-colored machine.
Jacob Brood did an excellent job. Big commitment on the brakes there. Tires not totally up to temp, and just big commitment. Got it well down and kept it on the island, so to speak, to escape turn 5.
You know he did not love having to start back in 5th. This is home turf for Jacob Brood. He's from nearby Racine, Wisconsin, and he has raced his way up to the front in less than half a lap.
Hate to see a couple of top running cars that'll have problems there so early.
Here's another look at it. This was 3 into 1, and that math rarely works.
Yeah, watch this. Watch the commitment down the inside. There's Jacob Brood. Then they're just trying to coexist. Garrett looks to the inside. He gets in the side of Cugliari. He spares it across, and they get locked horns there with Kanishak. Look at the left front there. To me, it looks like it's got too much camber in that left front.
And there is the right front, clearly with an issue. And the 57 of Cugliari appears to be done, and we go right back to full course yellow after less than a lap of green. Looking elsewhere, we had so much focus, of course, in the TCX battle. Kevin Bohm continues to lead in TC over Williams and Nato in just his second race weekend, has moved up into 3rd. And then in TCA, Pericarpi, Wagner, Gronke, the top 3, with Anderson currently in the 4th spot.
Jeff Ricker's car looked to have speed. You know, when they went to the green flag there, it looked like he's trying to make some moves. Hopefully that car is back at 100% with the electronic gremlins there on the formation lap.
Was able to pick off at least one on that first lap. Let's let it all sort through. Looks like a great start as well, actually, after everything shuffled through. How about Joey Jordan up to 3rd in TC?
Oh, that is cool. So cool to see they've been working so hard with that master program. Kanishak's car is rolling, so maybe it was just weird with the car sort of spinning around and a lot of steering input.
Might be a tire down, we're hearing from the Random Vandals team on Kanishak, but if that's the worst of their problems, they got away lightly, given just how crazy that start was.
Yeah, I thought I saw something going on with the left front, but we'll have to see when he comes through if we can get a camera shot of that Random Vandals machine. Obviously, they locked horns there as they came through turn 5.
What a start from this young man, Jacob Brood, who ran more or less uncontested to the title in TCX last year. The competition level has gone up tremendously year 1 to year 2 of this class, and he has risen to the challenge. Let's look at this here. What do you see, Cal?
If you look sort of like down the side of the car, just like the excessive camber there in that left front to me.
And for the novice, camber means?
It's just basically the angle. If you kind of walk bow-legged, that's what your front tires would look like with your knees together. It's kind of what you'd then look at in terms of your lower leg.
Let's see if we can identify any more to this story here as we look at the replay again. What a move by Rude.
Garrett there sees the door open. He just touches Cugliari. Watch as he comes across. And there I thought I'd see some damage on that left front. Look right there. It just looks at a weird angle to me as he's got some steering input in it. Not sure if he took another tap there in the right front as well.
Piece of avoidance. I didn't catch the number. Might have been Lucas or Joseph Catania possibly in one of those cars that had to just woe it up in a big way to avoid running right into Kanishak. Let's hear from the team now with Shea.
Paul Sparta, team owner, that looked like you guys were just the wrong place at the wrong time, but the damage, it's maybe not so bad?
We're hoping it's not too bad. We think there's maybe a little bit of a bent tie rod or possibly a tire. We'll have time to change it if it's, since it's a full course here. And it's unfortunate because it looks like a car inside touched another car and pushed us out, and he just got into the soft grass, and there you go.
Drivebacks can be done in these races, though, and you've got the right guy in the car. Brought him in this weekend to make sure everything was good with the BMW, so clearly he's a hot shoe.
Yeah, he is a pretty good hot shoe, and we've seen Jacob Rude come from the behind, so day ain't over yet.
Yeah, long day to go for Random Vandals Racing.
Paul Sparta loves his racing, that's for sure. They've been a great addition to the paddock. This TCX program made its debut at VIR. And they were dealing with a mechanical issue of some kind that left them down on power. They think they've got that sorted, and they wanted to put Michael in the car just to make sure. And based on qualifying, I think they do. Let's see if he stays out or comes in. I'm with you, Calvin. I do think that does seem like an aggressive angle on that left front.
He's electing to stay out there, which, I don't know, I mean, I think he'd get the wave around if he dove in and then caught back up with the pack. He might be able to join the tail end of this TCX field. But obviously they've got to strategize around that. He's probably trying to feel out here, even at low speed, to see if it feels normal or not. Typically the steering wheel is crooked, not always a great feel when you're at high speed here.
More bad news, it looks like, for Gin Racer. I just saw on our timing screen that Jeff Rica was shown in the pits and was dropping down the order. So perhaps the electronic gremlins that surfaced on the formation lap have returned. And a good start, all things considered, after losing that outside of the front row starting position he had earned in qualifying.
Yeah, I thought his car was back up to speed there. He certainly launched like everyone else, didn't seem to be dropping like a stone, but now they're under the hood to see if there is something they can address here quickly, get him back out and catch up with the pack. But hopefully it's not day done for this team. They work so hard, great group of people, making great things happen.
It's been a feast or famine year for Jeff. 3 runner-up finishes, but beyond that, no finish better than 4th on the season. Finds himself back in 5th in points and a distant 5th at that. But then again, just about everyone is distant in the TC points relative to Kevin Bohm. He has been so consistent all year long, maximizing his weekends, capitalizing on others' mistakes, and rarely puts a wheel wrong.
Yes, he's the benchmark in this championship, certainly, and seems to do everything right. Super smart driver, works hard. He's got a lot underneath his arm over the course of the weekend. He's not so much hands-on in terms of wrenching the car anymore, more of an engineering underneath that Skip Barber organization. They got some penalty now in their tent this weekend, one of their new Civics, so it's pretty cool. A lot he has to do, and yeah, there's something to miss here with this race car, dousing it over. I wonder if it's fuel-related, whether suddenly they tried to address something and fuel was getting out over the engine. They just want to make sure it didn't go up in flames.
Yeah, what a frustrating day for the Gin Racer team. Again, if you're just joining us, the sister car had a big crash in qualifying. Thankfully, Nicholas Barbado was all right, but that car went for quite a tumble. And now these problems materialized even before the race got underway for Jeff Rica. They've got a lot of work to do to get ready for tomorrow.
The lights are out, so we should be back to green flag action here shortly, but a lot of time's been eaten up under yellow here today.
No question. I think we've had about 3/4 of a lap under green. We had the waved off initial start because of Rica's issue. So the race started behind the safety car, and that's where it runs right now. But that's about to come to an end. 13 minutes into this 40-minute affair. And Jacob Ruud from 5th on the grid now leads overall, and Colin Garrett, these two have been hammer and tongs all season long. They found each other again. They run 1-2 coming to the restart zone.
Jacob Ruud electing to pick his line here. Got to wait for that VP Fuels acceleration zone, which will be, it's a long way up there. You climb the hill and it's pretty deep once you get to the straight, flatter part of this front stretch. See that green cone, right side of the screen. Right now he's in it.
Now he goes. That checked everybody up. Big move from Strymer.
Yeah,
you can't make the pass before the start
That was
finish.
close. I don't think he did. He still shows up 4th on the timing and scoring, so I think he was just okay.
By 0.006 of a second, I'd like to point out. But he has gone up and grabbed that 3rd spot away from Lucas Catania. So move the Hard Motorsport driver up into P3. They're side by side further back. Big move around the outside there. That's Scroggin trying to make the pass around Olivia Askew.
Yeah, Scroggins got some great tutelage. You got Tony Kester, who's a legend here in these parts, working with him on that team. So see what those two can put together here in terms of a result today.
Ruud was able to build a gap. He now seems comfortably in the lead, at least for the moment, but Strymer, after taking that spot away, very much under duress. And it's side by side, Askew with the nose to the inside, looking to grab a spot back. We saw Kanishak appears to have gotten past Joseph Catania already. That was for 8th.
So his car must be reasonably healthy if he's able to make moves here on this restart lap. obviously we've got to wait and see whether Garrett's going to get any sort of penalty, because I think if anyone's going to be at fault there for that little schmozzle down in turn 5, it would be Colin Garrett, who's in the 44 car running second.
PJ Gronke dropped a couple of spots on that restart. He's now back in 5th. Christian Pericarpi, his teammate, out in front in TCA. Behind him, though, that is where you will find Gresham Wagner and Devin Anderson, a pair of Tech Sport Racing teammates in those Subaru BRZs.
Yeah, and they've been showing tremendous pace of late, really getting some strong results week in, week out. But as you mentioned, Pericarpi coming off a win in round 1 at Watkins Glen. He's certainly shown a lot of pace in that mini as well.
Keep an eye in the background, that car 4th in line. That is Carter Fartuck, who is the championship leader, but it's still pretty tight. Wagner, oh wow, big off there in the kink, somehow able to bring it back on track. That was a big moment for Gresham Wagner, who now will have his hands full with his teammate. Side by side, the Tech Sport guys into Canada quarter.
Yeah, that was pretty close. I mean, you're not only catching the car, you're catching your breath after a move like that at high speed.
Wagner came into this weekend 2nd in points, 31 back. Keep in mind, he has won 4 times this year and has an additional 2nd place finish. But other than those finishes, nothing better than 7th. It has truly been feast or famine. Drive-through penalty issued to car 16 for a jumped restart.
It's Carter Fartuck, that's the championship leader. And here's Gresham Wagner. He's got stop and hold plus 60, I think, for causing that collision down in turn 5.
For Colin Garrett, correct?
Correct, sorry.
No, it's all right. I just want to make sure I had it right in my head. So this is a look at that start. This is not the car that
was close, but we saw from timing and scoring, certainly Strymer was legit with that pass.
That was not penalized.
This is for the move down in turn 5 where we saw Cugliari and Kanishak involved.
Exactly. It's a big hit for his championship hopes. Strymer and Catania side by side again.
The stewards are really trying to make a statement here, trying to clean things up a little bit with some of the argy-bargy that we're seeing through all of the classes actually in the championships here.
Well, especially coming into these final few races where people are desperately trying to stay within grasp of a championship. You can see some big moves made, and I think they want to nip that in the bud. That certainly was a message in the 2 drivers' meetings we sat in on.
It is, and it's tough. I mean, certainly for Colin, he's doing this program to really fine-tune his road racing skills, but just got in there a little bit deep. I mean, it wasn't blatant. It was just one of those first lap incidents that you need to try and stay clear of, but obviously the consequences, I think, is really what resulted in the steward's decision.
Penalty, both of those penalties, though, with big implications. Think about the points here, because that is Garrett, 2nd in points in TCX, and then the drive-through for the jumped restart on Fartuck. That's really his first mistake all season, and that could be very costly. As Kanishak continues his charge back up through the field. He's up to 7th right now, working on Olivia Askew for 6th.
You see the car, though, as he came and tried to accelerate off Canada corner. It's a bit of a handful, so I think he's definitely got an alignment issue there on the front end, but he's going to try and fight it and stay out.
Even with that, he's turning decent lap times, working in traffic comparable to those he's racing around.
The car is loose.
Yes.
You can just see it there as he drives up the straightaway. Look at the angle on that front tire wheel compared to Askew in front of him.
And the bottom of that wheel much further out than the top, and you're going to want to run some of that to maximize contact patch in the corners, but that is to the extreme, and it's due to the contact that happened early in the race.
Well, the other thing you got to be worried about is any sort of fatigue. If anything is severely damaged at the speeds and the loads that you have around here, battle for the lead.
Yeah, change in position. In fact, Gresham Wagner took the lead from Christian Pericarpi, but those minis traditionally very strong down the straight, and he'll pull out a line and grab the top spot back with just over 20 minutes to go.
Oh, this is looking tasty. 2 teammates now, line astern behind Pericarpi. This is the top 3 in TCA. Oh, he's off and on. Just keeps it straight. That's pretty cool in terms of wheels off in the grass there. That short wheelbase mini literally hopped through turn 3 there, trying to keep the balance underneath the car.
Christian got his first pro win in race 1 at Watkins Glen a month ago. hoping to back that up. His first pole earlier today. But he's got his hands full. These Subarus from Tech Sport look really, really good. Gresham Wagner and Devin Anderson, and they may need to work together a little bit to overcome the straightaway speed of the Mini.
Yeah, and I think Anderson's car looks like it may be hooked up a little bit better than his teammates, so they're going to have to figure this one out where they won't let Anderson have a little go at the leader right now.
How about this young man, Jacob Rude, still out in front overall, and he's built a gap now that Garrett has had to come serve that penalty. It's nearly 5 seconds his lead over Lucas Catania.
Yeah, massive advantage by like 2 seconds in terms of his fastest lap versus the rest of the field. So it's hammered down here for Jacob Rude. 5 wins on the year, a couple of runner-up finishes along with that. Had that little bobble at VIR in round 5 of the championship.
But that's it. That's the only real bobble. Even when he's had them, he's recovered from them. That second place in race 1 at Watkins Glen comes to mind, where he was at the very back, caught a yellow at the right time. This is getting interesting here. Joey Jordan in the Mazda, and working around the outside, right there with him.
Oh, Joey has to give it up. He's going to lose another spot there to the 06 of Ibrahim.
It's Neto making the initial pass, and now Neto will have Matt Ibrahim coming his way.
Joey's dropped a couple of positions, but they're really making a lot of headway with this Mazda. It's a great little program.
Yeah, it's been a work in progress over the past several seasons, and they've got it running as well as they have to this point in its development. Joey, good driver behind the wheel. It's great to see him up there in third for a little while. We certainly miss his father, the late Joe Jordan. He was always a fixture around the paddock. It's not been quite the same this year without him. I'm sure he would have been happy to see Joey and this Mazda team running so strong.
Yeah, he'd be proud. Watching down on his young boy having a great run here today at Road America.
Here in the TC class, this is the leader, actually. Clay Williams has made the pass on Kevin Bohm.
He's taken off. 2 seconds plus. Here comes Carter Fartuk serving that drive-through penalty for the jump start, I believe.
That's going to be painful for Carter.
Actually, about 46 seconds coming down pit lane here is a long one.
Sure is. Clay Williams, his results as of late, all season long, only 2 finishes off of the podium in this class, including a pair of wins. One at NOLA, one at Watkins Glen. But 2 finishes outside of the points. One where he failed to finish, one where he finished 11th. Has him 70 points down on Kevin Bohm.
I think Kevin Bohm's just, he's going to really want to manage things as we look at the battle for TCA. A bit of a change around up front. The 2 Tech Sport cars have got around the Mini.
Yep, change for the lead. Tech Sport now running 1-2. Gresham Wagner, Devin Anderson. The fight's not done yet. Christian Pericarpi closing back in. And let's hear more about him with Shea, excuse me.
All good, Ryan. That's your one for the weekend. Now, Christian Pericarpi is being eagerly cheered on by his father, Luis, who is the guy behind Mini JCW team. Now, Luis is standing here watching his son, but he's also listening to our broadcast. He's got a cell phone sticking out of his headset because he wants to know what's happening on track as well as just what's happening with his son. Very quiet on the radio from Christian as he's got his head down and tries to catch back up to the 2 Subarus ahead.
It's quite a look there, Luis.
I like it.
Do what you got to do. Proud father, that's for sure, watching his son wield the Mini, and his son's got the best seat in the house for this battle for the TCA lead. These 2 teammates, now that they're clear of the Mini, it's game on between Wagner and Anderson.
Yeah, I think Anderson's car's handling a little bit better than Gresham, so curious to see how the teammates play it out here as now the Mini gets a bit of a run as we climb the big hill here, 4,400 foot run from the exit of 14 all the way up to turn 1. See the window nut flapping there a little bit on the Mini. It may have become disconnected from its latch, possibly.
Look at the run Christian's getting on these top 2. I'm not sure he's going to be close enough to do anything. And for now, Anderson decides to stay in lockstep with his teammates. Those 2 try and build a gap. That way they can fight it out amongst themselves for the final 15 minutes. You remember last year when Devin Anderson got that win at Sebring, how emotional that was in victory lane, and he's come so close to winning another one for the family-owned team. 5 times this season he's been second, but still looking for that first win of the year.
Yeah, he keeps knocking on the door, and if he keeps putting himself in position like he is today, that will happen. But look at Pericarpi, he's got the run. Coming here down the moraine sweep, down towards the turn 5 braking zone. Just watch the balance coming through this corner. See how they compare here. Just looks like Devon's car's hooked up, doesn't it? It's carving the corner a little bit more efficiently than Wagner up front.
Totally agree. But to this point, it's not like Gresham's really provided a chance for Devon to go on the offensive.
Wagner has the fastest lap amongst this group at a 2:36 flat compared to a 2:36.3 for his teammate and a 2:36.9 for Pericarpi. So certainly those tech sport cars have the pace. Oh, he's wide Scroggin there into the turn-in point.
This grass still might be a little bit damp.
Yeah, he recognized it early though. That was smart. Just out wide there. That was going to be a catastrophe. He tried to hang in there with it with speed.
That takes him out of podium contention though. Rude continues to lead. It's now a 5-second advantage over Catania. Strymer runs in the 3rd spot, and Garrett Adams from the back of the field in TCX finds himself now up into the 4th spot. Having a pretty nice run, all things considered. By the way, we did get an update on what happened to Jeff Rica. That fire that we saw while he was in the pit lane was due to residual fuel when they changed a faulty fuel pressure regulator. So you were spot on there, Calvin, with the fuel pressure being the potential issue. And they are back out on track, just hoping to score some points towards the championship in TC.
Yeah, maybe they loosened off one of the unions there and got a little bit of fuel pressure spray, and obviously had to douse it there. So it's unfortunate. It was cars look pretty strong here today, but obviously issues for Barbado in qualifying and then Jeff in the race today.
Further down the order, Tyler Delgado here, one of the Brian Herta Autosport TCA spec Hyundais. Che. Oh, here we go. This is for the lead in TCA, side by side in a swap of position. Anderson goes around, but he runs wide. Gresham Wagner looking to take advantage, as is Pericarpi.
Yeah, Wagner, though, wisely as a teammate, they decided let's not fight it out down into turn 3. The Mini's right behind us, just tuck in, try and be efficient here, work together.
This is where that Mini is so strong, that power off the corner and in the straight line. Down this long straight, the run to turn 5. He's going to take a peek. The 2 Subarus drafting with one another, trying to overcome the advantage that the Mini might have. And Christian not quite close enough.
Yeah, I think the Subarus are working well together here. Anderson, now he's got the lead. He's starting to run a little bit further wide as he tries to really increase his speed there through turn 5, uses a bigger radius. He's to really keep the tires underneath you, just under 12 minutes to go.
Christian Wagner, champion at MX5 Cup. So he's used to pedaling a lower horsepower car around this track and maybe needing to work with those around you to generate some speed.
Battle for 3rd. Strymer and Adams getting really tight there through the final corner.
Garrett Adams. Had a couple good performances on the year.
Strymer really gaps him up this front stretch.
Let's finish 3rd at Watkins Glen, but you're right. You think that's just down to a different setup between the 2, or simply Strymer got the better run out of 14?
Well, maybe a combination of that and maybe just different mileage on the motors. Somehow they should be pretty much identical in terms of performance that they can achieve, but certainly looked like Strymer gapped him by a good car length or 2.
Here is our pole sitter. Kanishak has given it up. That might be the prudent choice. That car certainly wounded from the contact early in the race.
You're not in championship contention, so you certainly want to check out. Make sure you don't throw this thing at the fence here before race tomorrow when you got potential for another strong day.
Exactly, but he'll have some work to do tomorrow because the grid for race 2 is set by fastest lap from race 1, and he never really got a chance to do that before he picked up the damage.
That's a great point. So maybe if they can get that car back, get the wheels straightened out a little bit, let him go back out there and see if he can fire in a lap here to move up the grid, essentially. This becomes a qualifying session for him.
10 minutes to go. Let's see if we can see anything here.
Yeah, That wheel is definitely at a weird angle since the moment that they had down in turn 5.
This fight's not going anywhere, is it? Steve Strymer, veteran campaigner from the West Coast, coming east for this round with that entire team that's based in Spokane, Washington. Garrett Adams would be his second best result on the year if he came home in 4th, but he has eyes on 3rd in his second podium of the campaign.
This is a feisty little battle. I think it's going to go right down to the wire here. Catania looks pretty settled there in 2nd, about 5 seconds back of Jacob Rook, who continues to lead. He's got a 3-second gap on that battle there for 3rd.
For Strymer, too, this would be a great result. It would be his first podium on the season. He's finished 4th on a number of occasions, including from pole in the first race of the year. TC leader still Clay Williams, but look who is looming large. Kevin Boehm has not gone anywhere. In fact, it looks like he has closed in somewhat over the past few laps. That last time by, Williams had the edge on the stopwatch, but this lap might be a different story.
I think Kevin Boehm, he's so smart just in terms of managing his race car, managing temps, and certainly coming into this weekend, they realized that Road America, a lot of pressure on the brakes in terms of keeping those underneath you as well on these long green flag runs.
3 very heavy braking zones around Road America. It does tax the car in just about every way imaginable, this track.
Yeah, particularly the downhill runs into turn 5 and turn 8. Just on the brake pedal for a long, long time, it just really generates enormous heat.
Was quicker on that last lap, Cal, but only marginally so, just 25 thousandths of a second. So basically matching each other lap after lap here at the front of the TC class.
See Boehm there, always looking for the fresh air on the front end as unfortunately Joey Jordan brings his Mazda to pit lane. But strong day for them. They'll be encouraged by his performance there in the early laps.
For sure. It's been a good weekend all in all. They've had their most extended stretch of untroubled running since this program debuted here this weekend, and they take a lot of solace in that. In fact, the word from the team was because they're running so many laps consecutively now, they're finding new problems they didn't know they had. But that's part of the development process. Let's look at this here. This is that fight for 3rd.
It's turn 6.
Yep.
Not an easy place to make a move.
But Strymer has to give way. Adams is up to 3rd. Great move.
Yeah, good racing, just giving each other a little bit of breathing room, surviving some of these close moments. That's what you like to see.
That is the Fast Track Racing team, represented in this instance by Garrett Adams. And many of you will recognize just by a different name. This is the old classic BMW team. The racing arm has always been Fast Track Racing, but they ran under the umbrella of the classic BMW dealership. There was a change in the ownership for that dealership recently within the last 12 months. And they have really taken that programming in-house, changed the branding to Fast Track Racing, but it's still that same crew behind it. This is the issue for Joey Jordan, and all of a sudden there is no clearance on that left rear wheel. What would cause that?
Well, it seems like he's had a bit of contact there in the bodywork just behind the tire, but it's not caved in, so I'm not sure if there's a suspension issue that is allowing it to move, to get into the under body there at all, but it doesn't seem like they're in a hurry to get him back out.
Back to this battle, 3rd and 4th in TCX. Fast Track Racing, by the way, running 1st and 3rd in the class with Jacob Rood showing the way. This will be a popular victory here at Road America with many of Jacob's friends and family in attendance. And here we go in TCA. These two teammates, not much to separate the two of them.
Yeah, they got a little bit of breathing room now from Pericarpi, so that'll allow them to really maybe duke it out between themselves here with just over 5 minutes to go. Devin Anderson doing a really nice job. Car seems to have been underneath him from the green flag here today, but certainly his teammate Wagner has tidied things up as well, so see if he's got a plan in his back pocket here.
Well, they should have had some time to size one another up. They have run in front of each other at various times, and this is the situation they have sorted themselves into. But it's coming down to it now, the final 5 minutes, and you just wonder how desperate are you going to be to race your teammate. These are second and third in points, so for both of them, they need to have a good day here, but it can't come at the expense of the team.
No, and that's where it gets tricky in terms of managing this. If you think big picture, okay, Dreschem Wagner is the closest driver to Carter Fartuk, our championship leader, 31 points behind, so maybe let's elect him to get the big points here today. But Devin's going to say, hang on a minute, I'm still in this game. Long way to go yet in this championship fight.
And Christian Pericarpi has not gone anywhere either. He is still lurking in that Mini, leading the charge for the LAP Motorsports squad. And he's close. Is he close enough to try and go the long way around? It does not look like that Mini is quite as good under braking as the Subarus, and he's got to back out of it.
Gresham there was certainly giving his teammate the ability to get into that brake zone nice and cleanly. He's playing the perfect job here in terms of the wingman in this operation. Just really seems like he's trying to protect his teammate right now as he sees Pericarpi get a little bit closer on occasion.
It's not always the easiest thing to do. You've got a race you want to run for yourself, but you got to keep an eye out the rearview mirror and think about the team aspect of it all at the same time. Big slide there a moment ago, though, for the leading car, and that opens the door for Wagner. No team orders here, folks. Gresham Wagner to the inside of the carousel. Devin Anderson trying to make it stick along the outside, but he'll have to fall back in line, I think. No, they stay side by side, headed to the kink.
Well, Wagner's got the inside line here, so he's my favorite to come out in the lead, but they're going to compromise their speed, and Devin Anderson really wide. That is a beautiful piece of car control there to keep it together, but it gives Pericarpi the run, and he takes over second.
That is a save and a half. That was an accident that just did not happen. Remarkable from Devin Anderson, but it cost him not just the lead, but the second spot as well.
Well, the problem is when you're running around the outside in the carousel, you get all that tire pickup on the tires, and suddenly you've got to really load that car through the kink, and the car just gets wider and wider and wider, and it's very subtle, but it's just taking away that percentage of grip to get you in trouble.
Now, with the Mini splitting the two Subarus, is this the best scenario here for Christian Pericarpi? Because the wingman situation is totally out the window.
No, and he's got a good run here. He could have a look at the lead here as we get down towards the brake zone for turn one.
Just 2 laps remaining. Christian Pericarpi,
there's a
little
touch.
bump. Oh, and you can see that did nudge that Subaru, and that arrested the speed from Pericarpi in the Mini. That brought him back to Anderson, who sweeps back past.
I think Pericarpi lifted. I thought that was going to get ugly and got out of it, and that gives Devin Anderson the run to get back up to second.
It's all to play for. The top 3 nose to tail in TCA with just 2.5 laps remaining here at Road America.
Those are the incidents that can really turn into a big one, Brian. At that Ryan, at that sort of speed, if you suddenly get turned, that is going to be a big impact with the wall.
This race well and truly in command for Jacob Rude, who's going to come and take the white flag, this time by with a lead of just about 5 seconds over Lucas Catania. Tom Hansen hanging out of the flag stand. He waves the white flag, and it's just 4 miles to go for Jacob Rude.
Yeah, I think he certainly had intentions of winning here, but I don't think he thought it was going to be so easy. But two of his main contenders for the race win were taken out early here today on that opening lap scuffle.
Here we go. Still a lot to go for these TCA cars. About 6 miles left for them. They have not taken the white flag. Wagner, Anderson, Pericarpi, that's how they run, headed to the carousel.
Anderson was on the power so early there, and his teammates in trouble a little bit as well. Got really wide out of turn 8. Devin's got to get that car turned in. He's out in the gray a little bit. He's going to get that pickup on his tires again if he's not careful.
That car looks like a handful all of a sudden, chasing the rear end of it.
Well, if you start to lose confidence, you're not going to be as aggressive with that steering input. You're just going to wash out there, and that's really giving his teammate a big lead here with just a lap and a bit to go.
Much more traditional approach to the kink that time. I think he enjoyed that one a little bit more.
I think his parents did too.
Oh, my goodness. Pericarpi still just not close enough to take a lunge. I do think the Subarus have the edge overall, but you can't count out the Mini based on that acceleration.
No, and Wagner there really pushed it through Canada. You could hear those tires really squealing in They were pretty distraught there in terms of what he was asking for from them through the apex.
That was defensive into 14 from Anderson, and so that's going to compromise his run up this hill. That's great news for Pericarpi, who slings his car to the outside, and he'll take second spot as they take the white flag, but it's the biggest lead of the day in the TCA class for Gresham Wagner, looking for yet another win. He's got a lead of nearly a full second over Christian Pericarpi, but Pericarpi is clear of Anderson.
He is. That is perfect for Gresham Wagner as he runs really wide there through turn one. They're going to look at the track limits there, but a bit late in the game to get called on it, so I like what he's doing here, taking advantage of the situation.
By the way, it looked like Matt Ibrahim's car was pulled off to the side of the track, and that it does seem to be the case. He has dropped down to the 19th spot overall. Meanwhile, out of the final corner, here comes the Racine, Wisconsin native on home soil. Jacob Rude will take win number 6 of the season at Road America. Now the fight for the lead in TCA into turn 5. Pericarpi trying the outside on Wagner.
Watch for Devin Anderson. He's looking for an opportunity here as they exit turn 5.
Pericarpi trying to cross him over. Wagner does not want to let him through, but he has no choice. He must give way. The Mini to the inside in 6. Side by side, and Wagner off the track.
Where's he going to come back on? Where's his teammate?
At the front, it's already one win, though, for Mini, with Clay Williams holding off Kevin Bohm in TC, but could it be 2 for 2 for the Mini JCW team?
Anderson up to second around his teammate with that off that he had, trying to really hang tough around the outside in turn 6. Couldn't pull it off on the Mini.
Christian Pericarpi, though, building that lead in this last part of the track should favor the Mini. Big slide there.
Look at the teammates side by side behind him.
Exactly. Wagner and Anderson, they'll try it again side by side into the kink. They barely made it work the first time. Wagner deciding discretion is the better part of valor. He slips back in line.
Oh, Anderson there trying to pinch it there through the kink. Gets a little bit sideways. He's really struggling through the carousel, and that's allowed the Mini to scamper away a little bit. They're pulling the draft, though, here down towards Canada corner.
The fight is for second. Pericarpi does go defensive. Anderson working the outside. Wagner to the inside in that fight for second. Bouncing over the curbs. Still side by side towards Billy Mitchell Bend.
And these two find it out. They're giving the Mini the win here.
Wagner slots in front of his teammate. 1, 2, and 3, all in the same camera shot coming out of the final corner. Christian Pericarpi won his first race 1 month ago at Watkins Glen. He proves it is no fluke. Pericarpi and Mini to the line first. Christian Pericarpi picks up win number 2 of the season at America's National Park of Speed.
That was an awesome battle.
Second place to Wagner, third to Anderson. High fives, thumbs up all around. A great deal of respect among those 3 young men.
They all enjoyed that one, but I think the 2 tech sport cars going side by side, exit in Canada corner, took all of the pressure off Pericarpi for the win. Both wanted it badly.
How about Jacob Rude? 6 wins in 9 races. And this is against
Stiffer competition,
exactly.
big time. Yeah, he dominated last year. He'll be enjoying this season a lot more satisfaction with the competition that's around him.
Didn't get to talk about it much, but Clay Williams holding off Kevin Bohm there. It was relatively close, less than a second between those two, and Clay Williams has rounded into a really stout racer in that TC class, picking up yet another win this season. Not sure he's going to run down Kevin in the championship, but doing what he needs to do certainly here today. Jacob Rude, though, not just the win, but the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race at 2:25.765.
I think with Clay Williams looking at that TC championship, he needs guys like the Gen Racer pairing with Barbardo and Rickard to have better days and get that point spread. Get that point spread and try and keep Kevin Bohm off the podium somehow, but he doesn't do that very often. He hasn't been off all season long.
No, he has not. For Clay Williams, it is the 3rd win of the campaign. Still 5 races to go, but coming into today, the gap was 70 points. It's very difficult to overcome, especially when the competition is as consistent as Kevin Bohm has proven to be. But a big thanks to those 3 we saw just a moment ago. They put on a show for us here today. TCA around this track Low horsepower cars means a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of passing opportunities with big straightaways here, and they took full advantage of every chance to put on a great display of racing. Results from race 1. Rude with win number 6. Catania, a strong run to come home in second. Garrett Adams on the podium once again, matching his best result of the season. Third, Strymer in fourth. Scroggin ahead of Askew and Catania to round out the TCX field. Clay Williams, as mentioned, third win of the campaign, ahead of Kevin Bohm by less than 1 second. Celso Neto, his first podium in just his third race in the class. In Fukuda, a strong run to fourth, and Chris Valdez persevering to come home in fifth. In Christian Pericarpi, Gresham Wagner, Devin Anderson. What a fantastic show from those three all race long, and maybe the save of the season here in the King.
That was an awesome job by Devin Anderson there. Tires were dirtied up a little bit after that outside run through the previous corner in the carousel, but he hung on to it nicely.
Let's hear from the hometown hero, Jacob Rude, back in victory lane, and he's with Shea Adam.
Jacob, you're no stranger to winning races, but a bit sweeter when it's on the home track, isn't it?
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I've got tons of family and friends out here today cheering me on, and I like to think that this wouldn't have been possible today without their support. So thank you everybody that was here watching, and thank you everybody watching at home. The guys put together a great car for me, Fast Track Racing, so it's nice to stand on the top step again, and it's especially nice to stand on the top step of my home track. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Big smile, big number 1, and well deserved. This is going to go a long way towards feeling a bit more comfortable in the championship, given the fact that Colin Garrett had such misfortune today with that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, it really takes the heat off because it's getting pretty tight, right? I mean, 28 points is not something you can just kind of snooze on. He had to keep pushing hard, and he responded from a qualifying run that was cut short with the red flag there to get the lead early. Big commitment down in turn 5 and made it stick.
Great show today for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Race 2 is coming up tomorrow. What an action-packed day of racing we have, with Fanatec GT coming up next. But for now, so long. This has been TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School.